children were killed by gunfire, and those children now among 14 people killed this weekend, a total of 77 people shot. Tragically, this now makes 9 children killed in the city of Chicago over the past 3 weekends. That's since Father's Day weekend. The youngest victim from this weekend is 7-year-old Natalia Wallace. She was attending a family 4th of July party Saturday night when she was shot in the forehead. Her family says she went outside to play just minutes prior to being shot. Now, this happened in the city's Austin neighborhood in the 100 block of North Latrobe. It was around 7 at night on July 4th. Police say more than 20 rounds were fired and a man was also injured. They do have video from this shooting, and it shows 3 men exiting a white vehicle. 14-year-old Fernando Jones Jr. was among 4 killed that same day in Inglewood. Police say 4 men fired into a crowd watching fireworks at 61st and Carpenter. 8 people were hit by gunfire in that incident. Fernando was shot in the back. And Chicago was already in the midst of a surge of gun violence prior to the holiday weekend. 1,200 additional officers put on the streets, and so much raw emotions were flowing this weekend as families mourn and those who respond to those shootings reach their breaking point.
On the cycle of violence and trauma in the city of Chicago.
I know I have PTSD. It's just off the charts.
Trying to understand the causes.
Around here, you ain't nobody till you kill somebody.
Trying to find the solution.
Even if the guns are here, someone has to pull the trigger.
Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams holding up a pair of baby shoes after a 1-year-old became the latest victim of gun violence, caught in the crossfire at a family barbecue.
Babies are not supposed to be wearing these in a coffin.
Adams, a former cop, became the 2nd member of the African-American community to call on the NYPD to stop the violence by reinstituting the anti-crime unit, undercover cops whose job was to get guns off the street. The units disbanded during the anti-cop protest that shook the city.
I think that a total elimination is something we need to reevaluate. Right now, bad guys are saying that if you don't see a blue and white, you can do whatever you want.
Community activist Tony Herbert agrees.
The guns keep going off, and now we have a 1-year-old, and the blood is on the hands of this mayor and the state legislature.
The mayor decried the shootings.
This is not anything we can allow in our city, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for so many reasons. And it begins with the fact that there are just so many guns out there, and that is a New York tragedy.
But the mayor did not propose any new solutions to ending the gun violence. This as shootings for the week were up 277%, 49 compared to 13 in 2019. The number of victims up 253%, 60 compared to 17 in 2019. John Jay Professor Joe Giacalone, a former cop, says the city has been eroding the ability of the cops to get guns off the street for years. The latest, the disbanding of the anti-crime units.
The gun police are no longer out there. Criminals are opportunists. You know that.
All this comes as the latest NYPD statistics show a huge drop in gun arrests during the last week.
Shot to death. That makes no sense.
Mayor, let the police department do their job. We need police officers on the corners. We need funding for our own security teams. Let's stop the violence in our neighborhood.
We don't all share the same positions, but I know one thing we all share today, that we feel enough is enough.
This person who murdered this 1-year-old baby should not be walking these streets.
Detectives search for clues. This neighborhood searches for answers, fearing retaliation and retribution, fearing other innocent people losing their lives. They raise their voices, begging for witnesses to step up and speak out.
You ain't no gangster, you a punk. That's right. You a punk with a gun that you think is gonna make you a man. And it ain't.
You're gonna go hit, bow, bow, and then you're gonna move back to create the distance, and then you can push out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Geneva Solomon is a mother of 3 and firearms instructor in Los Angeles.
She teaches self-defense and shooting skills to a group of Black gun enthusiasts and me, a New Yorker who's never touched a gun. Oh, shit. Geneva says she didn't grow up around guns, but first turned to firearms for self-defense after leaving a relationship she described as violent.
And so I walked into a gun store, and I'm a Black woman walking into a gun store. I was the only one there. And I think I waited about an hour and a half before someone would come and talk to me. And I didn't like that experience at all.
The memory of that experience prompted Geneva and her husband Jonathan to open Redstone Firearms. But in the 5 years they've been open, they've dealt with some harassment.
We've had swastikas carved into the windows, cars been keyed, emails have been sent, lots of threatening phone calls.
There's not a lot of Black-owned gun shops in the country. It's pretty rare.
We didn't really realize we were that unique. It wasn't until about a year into operating the actual store that I sat down, got on the computer and realized, oh my God, we're one of like 5, and we're the only one in California.
Redstone Firearms is registered with the NRA. The organization has a tight grip on the gun industry, offering benefits to business owners like Geneva. Yet Geneva turned to another gun club for a sense of belonging. Its name? The National African American Gun Association, or Naaga. Some call it the NRA for Black people.
2 to the body, 1 to the head.
The Solomons are Naaga state directors for California.
Shooter ready? Shoot!
Dr. Rashid Ivy is one of Naaga's newest members.
I love what Naaga's doing and loved how positive they were, how much they were really devoted to teaching people how to be positive gun owners and changing the stigma in our communities of gun ownership.
Are you also a member of the NRA?
No.
Why not?
The stigma associated with them is that they're it's a racist organization.
Black gun owners and the NRA have had a contentious relationship for generations. In 1967, in response to the Black Panther Party legally and openly carrying loaded guns, the NRA actually supported gun control legislation. Old wounds were reopened in 2016 when registered gun owner Philando Castile was shot and killed by a police officer.
Told him not to reach for it. I told him to get his hand out. You told him to get his ID, sir, his driver's license.
The officer was later acquitted of manslaughter. But at the time of Castile's death, the NRA released a statement saying reports of the incident were troubling. But that response wasn't enough for many Black Americans.
No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police.
Yet the NRA continues to be a political firepower that touts its inclusivity.
We in this room, we all come from every conceivable walk of life. We're proud of that diversity within our ranks.
I got one question to ask. Where are all my Naagas at? I can't hear you. One more time. Where are all my Naagas at? All right.
Naaga is nowhere near as large as the NRA, which has over 5 million members, but it wants some of the same influence. Naaga celebrated its 5th anniversary this year and is considering forming a political action committee.
When I first started Naaga, I told my wife I might have 300 people over 2 or 3 years. But then the first month I had 300 people. And we are now at the place where over 30,000 members. And what makes us different than any other firearms organization is that we are family, brotherhood and sisterhood. We agree to disagree, but we do not disconnect. Repeat it with me. We agree to disagree, but not disconnect. Good people should have a fighting chance to defend themselves, and if they want our assistance in that process, we're here for them. I'd rather have a good guy with a gun than a good guy without a gun.
When you say good guy with a gun, the first thing I think of is Philando Castile. Are you afraid, being a Black gun owner, that you will do everything you are supposed to do, everything the correct way, but still end up like him?
The worst thing we can do as Black folks, and I'm just gonna keep it 100, is to say, you know what, he got shot, so I'm gonna put my gun away because of one bad person. So as a Black gun owner, we should all say, you know what, I'm really gonna carry my gun. We can't bow down. We're not sub-Americans, we're not sub-citizens. We've earned that right. Our ancestors have died for us.
Naaga is looking at possibly forming a pack.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I think it is selfish, at a minimum, not to look at other avenues to help our people.
Are you going to be looking to endorse candidates or focus on issues?
We're going to focus on issues. There's some African-American men, specifically in certain parts of the country, that have a very difficult time getting a gun license for whatever reason. They don't have any background issues, they have clean credit, they have a good job, but for some reason they get declined. We would like to be an advocate for those type of individuals.
Phil is leaving the decision to form a PAC to members. So first off, just show of hands. Who thinks Naaga should form a PAC? Wow, a good chunk of the room. Who thinks you should endorse a candidate? Wow, no one. All right, so are you concerned that if Naaga goes political, some white people are going to be afraid that it's the new Black Panther Party?
I don't care what they think.
Me
neither. Why have a National African American Gun Association? Why not just join the NRA? Well, this is America, right? We can create any organization that we want. And why shouldn't we create an organization that we're prideful of, an organization that is focused on our community, an organization that is focused on education? Why not? Right? So I really don't care what anyone thinks. It's not about them, it's about us. If we focus on them, that's what they want.
The group will decide on its political future at a convention in August of next year.
Say his name, George Floyd! Say his name, George Floyd! Say his name, George Floyd!
A lot has happened since we attended Naaga's meeting.
I can't breathe! I can't breathe!
The continuing threat of coronavirus and the fallout over the recent killings of Black men and women have led to a surge in Naaga membership.
Roughly about 5,500 people have joined Naaga within the last few months based on what's happening out in society. On one hand, people were joining the organization partly because they were fearful of, society breaking down, of shortage of food, of people coming in and raiding and doing home invasions. And on the other hand, now you have Black men and women getting shot, police running into their homes, shooting them without any type of warning or cause. Those two things together has really developed a melting pot of anger, of concern. And so in preparation for that, people are saying, you know what? I'm going to go out and buy a gun. I might even be anti-gun, but I'm going to go ahead and buy a gun because I just don't know what's going to happen.